For years, Heartland fans have carried a heartbreaking question. Is Ty Borden truly gone forever? The grief, the longing, the endless hope it never felt real that Amy's greatest love could simply vanish. But what if the truth was never what it seemed? What if the most shocking twist in Heartland history was just waiting to be uncovered? Season 19, Episode 1 delivers a jaw-dropping, heart-stopping revelation that no one saw coming. A moment so powerful, so unexpected, it will shake everything you thought you knew about love, loss, and fate itself. Buckle up because this changes everything. The episode begins quietly, almost too quietly. The usual peaceful mornings at Heartland Ranch unfold as the sun rises over the golden fields, the wind rustles through the trees, and the soft sounds of horses can be heard in the distance. Amy Fleming is in the barn, just as she has been for so many years before, tending to Spartan, her loyal horse, in a routine that has become second nature to her. Yet, there's something different about today. An unsettling feeling fills the air, a weight Amy can't quite place. She tries to brush it off, telling herself it's nothing, just the heaviness that comes with the life she's been living without Ty. But then she hears it. At first, it's barely distinguishable, a sound so faint it could be mistaken for the wind or the creaking of the barn. However, as the seconds pass, the sound becomes clearer. It's the rhythmic beat of hooves, the unmistakable sound of a horse trotting down the dirt road that leads to Heartland. Amy's heart stops in her chest. Her breath catches in her throat. She freezes, her entire body rigid, the hairs on the back of her neck standing on end. Could it be? It couldn't be, not after all these years. With a sudden rush of disbelief, Amy takes a step forward, her eyes squinting into the distance. The figure is still too far away to make out clearly, but something about the way they ride, the posture of the rider, it feels so familiar. She feels dizzy, her vision blurring as she struggles to hold on to the reality she's known since Ty's death. Could it really be him? Amy's mind races, her pulse quickens, and before she knows it, she's moving faster than she ever has before. Her legs carry her through the barn and down the path, as if her body knows the truth before her mind can catch up. The figure draws nearer, and now it's undeniable. She knows that posture. She knows that horse. She knows that man. Ty Borden is back. The man she thought she had lost forever, the man who had been ripped from her life in the blink of an eye, is standing there, just a few yards away. Her heart pounds in her chest. A mixture of joy, anger, confusion, and relief floods through her. Ty, she whispers his name, her voice fragile, barely audible at first, but then louder, more desperate. Ty! The moment his horse stops, Ty looks directly at her. His blue eyes lock onto hers, and in that instant, Amy can see the same man she loved, but with a depth of pain and sorrow she couldn't have imagined. His face, his expression, it's filled with so many emotions: relief, heartbreak, fear, and love. All of it converges in a single, powerful moment. He dismounts. Amy reaches him just as his feet hit the ground. Without a second thought, she throws herself into his arms, tears streaming down her face. She clings to him with a desperation that speaks volumes, afraid that this moment, this reunion, might slip away as quickly as it came. Ty holds her just as tightly, his own tears falling freely. He buries his face in her hair, his voice a whisper, barely audible over the sound of their hearts racing in sync. "I'm here, Amy. I'm home." The words she's waited to hear for so long. And with that, the walls Amy had built around her heart, the walls she constructed to survive the pain of losing him, start to crumble. The camera lingers on them for a moment, capturing the raw emotion between the two. But as this powerful reunion unfolds, the rest of the Heartland family is watching, frozen in stunned silence. The people who loved Ty, the ones who carried on in his absence, are now faced with the impossible truth. Ty Borden is back. But how? Why? And, more importantly, what has happened to him in the years he's been gone? Jack Bartlett, always the anchor of the family, is the first to see Ty. The strong, steady man who had always been the rock for his family is suddenly undone. He stood by Amy through her darkest days. He's seen her struggle, but this is something else. Jack's usually unwavering demeanor falters. His sharp blue eyes, so often full of control, are now filled with confusion, disbelief, and emotion he's never allowed himself to express. He grips the railing of the porch, his knuckles turning white as he tries to make sense of what he's seeing. He blinks rapidly, his breathing growing unsteady. Could it really be Ty? The boy he once mentored? The man he saw as a son? Is this some cruel dream or is this real? His coffee cup slips from his hand, shattering on the floor, the sound harsh and jarring. But Jack doesn't move. He can't. His body is frozen, his mind racing. The second the truth clicks, Jack's voice breaks. Ty. It's a whisper, rough and strained, full of everything he's carried. In silence for years, the grief, the guilt, the love, and then, in a moment no one expected, Jack crosses the distance between them. He grabs Ty by the shoulders, his hands shaking, his controlled, stoic nature completely crumbling as he pulls Ty into an embrace, a tight, crushing hug. The strongest man on the ranch, perhaps even the strongest man in their family, is suddenly vulnerable. His body trembles, the weight of years of grief collapsing all at once. Through his tears, he whispers, "You came back." The moment is raw, powerful, and unexpected. For Jack, it's not just the return of a man, it's the return of a part of himself he thought was lost forever. This moment of reunion, though beautiful, is just the beginning. Ty's return has shattered the peace of Heartland, and the truth of what happened during his absence is still waiting to be revealed. What did Ty go through? Where has he been all this time? And what does his return mean for Amy, for Lindy, for Heartland itself? These are the questions that linger as we begin a new chapter in the Heartland story, a chapter full of suspense, emotions, and the shocking truths that will unfold in the episodes to come. The entire ranch feels different. Now the air, the people, even the horses seem to sense the change, the shift that has happened in their world. Amy, her heart still racing from the initial shock of seeing Ty again, pulls herself back from him. She stares at him, her eyes searching his face as if trying to grasp the reality of what's happening. Is this really Ty? The man she once knew so well? The man who was lost to her, the father of her child standing in front of her as if he had never left. She searches his eyes, looking for any sign that this isn't just a dream. Ty seems to understand her hesitation. His face softens, a small, almost bittersweet smile tugging at the corners of his lips. He reaches out, gently cupping her face with his calloused hands. His voice is thick with emotion as he whispers, "I never wanted to leave, Amy. I never stopped loving you or Lindy." The weight of his words hits her like a tidal wave. It's been years since he's been gone, and in that time, Amy has had to navigate the world without him, to raise their daughter Lindy on her own. She spent countless nights crying in the quiet of their empty home, questioning everything, doubting that she would ever be able to move forward. But now, standing before her, Ty's presence feels like a spark of hope in a place she thought was forever dark. Her voice cracks as she speaks, the raw emotions spilling out. How is this possible? We thought you were gone, Ty. How are you here?" She's not angry. There's no bitterness in her words, only confusion and relief. Ty sighs deeply, looking down at her with regret in his eyes. He hesitates, as though trying to find the right words, but it's clear that whatever happened during his absence is a story far too complicated to explain in a single breath. "I don't even know how to explain it," he says quietly. "It's a long story, Amy. one that's not easy to tell, but I'm here now. That's all I know. Amy takes a step back, her mind racing. The years of grief, the uncertainty, the loneliness, all of it feels like it's crashing down on her in an instant. She looks around as if expecting to see some sign, some clue that this is all real. She spots Spartan in the distance, grazing in the field, and for a moment, everything seems to ground her. This is real. Ty is really here. But the reunion, as emotional and powerful as it is far from over. Amy still has so many questions, and deep down, she knows that there's so much more to Ty's return than meets the eye. What happened to him? Where has he been all this time? Why did he disappear without a trace, leaving everyone behind to grieve his loss? Just as Amy begins to process the gravity of the moment, a sound breaks the silence, a familiar voice. What's going on here? Lou's voice is full of concern as she steps out from the house. She's always been the rock for Amy, ever the protector, and the moment her eyes land on Ty, everything stops. Her breath catches in her throat, her eyes wide with disbelief. She stares at him, her mind struggling to comprehend what she's seeing. Her voice trembles as she steps forward, shaking her head. This can't be real. You're not Ty. Ty looks at her. Her expression is full of regret. Lou, I never wanted you to carry this burden. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt any of you. Tears spring to Lou's eyes as she tries to process what's happening. The emotions she thought she had buried deep inside, the pain she had carried silently, now come rushing to the surface. She had always known Ty as part of their family, a man who had earned her trust and love. But now, seeing him alive after all this time, it's like a dream she never thought would come true. Oh my God, Ty, we thought you were gone. We thought we lost you. Lou's voice cracks as she approaches him, her steps hesitant but driven by the desperate need to hold on to him. As she reaches him, she doesn't hesitate. She throws her arms around him, pulling him close, the sobs racking her body as she clings to him. It's not graceful or composed. It's raw, desperate, and full of a relief she didn't know she still had in her. I never thought I'd get to tell you how much I missed you, Lou sobs into his chest. Ty holds her tightly, his voice just above a whisper. I'm so sorry for everything. I never meant to leave like that. The emotion between them is overwhelming. Lo, the tough, independent sister, the one who always held it together, now broken in Ty's arms, is a sight Amy never thought she'd see. The years of pain, the unspoken grief of losing someone they all loved so dearly, have finally found their release. But as Lo pulls back, wiping her tears, there's an undeniable realization in her eyes. Ty's return brings with it not just joy, but also a flood of unresolved feelings and questions. And Lou isn't the only one. Georgie, too, is struggling to process this new reality. She has always looked up to Ty as the older brother she never had. He was there for her when no one else believed in her, when she was struggling with her own demons. But now, seeing him in the flesh after all this time, it feels impossible to believe. Georgie stands frozen, her hands clenched at her sides, her eyes wide with shock. She's overwhelmed, the flood of emotions threatening to drown her. Finally, she opens her mouth, her voice a hoarse whisper. Ty! Ty turns to her, his eyes softening. Georgie, he says quietly, his voice thick with emotion. I'm here now. I swear I never wanted to leave you. Before she can even process what's happening, Georgie runs into his arms. She can't help it. The floodgates open, and she begins to sob, not caring who sees. It's a release she's been holding on to for far too long. She pounds her fists against his chest, not out of anger, but out of pure heartbreak. I thought you were gone. I never even got to say goodbye, she cries, clinging to him as though her life depended on it. Ty pulls her close, his arms enveloping her. I'm here now. I promise you, Georgie, I'm here. But even as these powerful reunions unfold, the questions remain. What is Ty hiding? Why did he disappear in the first place? And why has he returned now? There's still so much to uncover, and the answers are buried beneath layers of secrecy and pain. The family's emotional journey is just beginning, and the truth, however it might shatter their world, will soon be revealed. The cracks in the surface are starting to show, and the deeper truth of Ty's disappearance is lurking just beneath. As Ty embraces each member of the family, it's clear that the reunion is just the beginning of what will be an emotional and tumultuous journey for everyone. Ty, while visibly relieved and grateful to be back, carries with him an invisible burden, one that no one is ready to confront just yet. Amy's heart is still racing. She holds on to him as though letting go would mean losing him all over again. It's a fleeting moment of solace, but it's a moment she's clinging to. Ty's return stirs up emotions she's kept buried deep within herself, and she can't help but wonder if those emotions will be enough to fill the hole he left when he disappeared. Amy takes a step back, her mind still processing the overwhelming reality of Ty's presence. She searches his face, looking for any sign that he's the same man she once knew, the man who made her laugh, the man who supported her through the darkest times. She notices the subtle changes in him, the quiet intensity in his eyes, the deep lines etched on his face that speak of hardships endured, of a life lived apart from the safety of Heartland. She doesn't dare ask what he's been through. Not yet. The questions feel too big, too daunting to ask in the midst of such an emotional reunion. But as much as Amy wants to ignore it, the weight of those unanswered questions lingers in the air between them. She takes a deep breath, steadying herself. She has to know the truth. Ty, she whispers, her voice steady but filled with uncertainty. Where have you been all this time? Why did you leave us without a word? The question hangs in the air like a heavy cloud. Ty's face falters for a moment, and Amy can see the internal struggle brewing within him. He opens his mouth to speak, but the words get stuck. It's clear that he's not ready to dive into the truth of it all. He shifts uncomfortably, looking around, perhaps seeking refuge in the familiar surroundings of Heartland, a place that now seems so far removed from whatever dark reality he's been living in. I don't know how to explain it, Amy, Ty says finally, his voice breaking as he looks into her eyes. I never meant to hurt you. I never wanted to leave you or Lindy behind. But there were things I had to do, things that I didn't have a choice in. Amy can feel her frustration building. She wants to trust him, wants to believe that he's telling the truth, but the silence that has stretched between them for years can't be bridged with half answers and vague explanations. She has spent too much time in the unknown. Ty, she presses, we've all been living with this hole in our hearts. You've been gone for so long, and now you're here, and everything is different. I just need to know. Ty steps closer, his expression softening as he reaches out to touch her arm. Amy, I wish I could tell you everything. I really do. But there's a part of this story that's not easy to explain. It's a part of me that I can't bring myself to talk about yet. He glances over at the rest of the family, who have been watching the scene unfold with mixed emotions, some with tears in their eyes, others with confusion and concern. But I'm here now. I swear, I'm not going anywhere. Amy wants to push him further, to demand answers, but something about the look in his eyes makes her pause. She has been waiting for this moment for so long, and yet something about it doesn't feel real. The weight of the unknown sits heavily on her shoulders. She feels like she's standing on the edge of something massive, something that could change everything, but she's afraid to step forward and risk shattering what little hope she's allowed herself to feel. Meanwhile, Lou, still reeling from the shock of seeing Ty alive, watches the conversation unfold. She's happy, yes, but also torn. Her own grief over losing Ty was something she never fully processed. As the older sister, she always felt a responsibility to protect Amy, to be strong. But now, standing here, witnessing the emotional reunion between Amy and Ty, Lou can't ignore the feelings that are bubbling up within her. She wants to be happy for them, but she also feels a sense of betrayal. Ty's absence was something she had to carry for years, and now that he's back, she's unsure how to navigate the delicate balance between supporting Amy and processing her own emotions. Jack, too, has been silent, watching with a conflicted expression on his face. He's been the father figure to Amy, guiding her through the toughest moments of her life. But in Ty's return, Jack is confronted with something far more complicated. His relationship with Ty was one of mentorship and fatherly love, and losing him was a wound that never fully healed. When Ty left, Jack had to step in and fill a gap that no one could ever truly replace. Seeing Ty back now brings back all the pain and loss, and Jack struggles to hide the emotion that's written all over his face. The silence is thick, stretching between them like an invisible wall. Then, Ty finally speaks, his voice heavy with everything he still can't say. "I know there's so much more to explain, but I just need time." His eyes sweep across the faces of the family he left behind, each one holding a different kind of pain. "We've all been through so much, and I don't want to rush this. But please just know I never chose to disappear. I never wanted to hurt any of you." His words linger in the air, but they don't bring closure. Not yet. Because wounds this deep don't heal with words alone. The words hang in the air, and the tension grows thick. The family stands united in their confusion, their emotions raw and palpable, yet still shrouded in the mystery of Ty's disappearance. There are too many questions, too many things left unsaid, and they all know that the road ahead will be filled with more revelations than they are prepared to face. But for now, they can only stand there together, uncertain of what's to come, and yet somehow still hopeful that the answers they seek will eventually come to light. The days following Ty's return are a whirlwind of emotions, confusion, and quiet reflections. Each member of the family processes the shock of his reappearance in their own way, trying to reconcile the man standing before them with the memories they had carried for years. The ranch, which had felt empty without him, now hums with a mix of new beginnings and unresolved tensions. Amy, despite her joy at having Ty back, finds herself wrestling with emotions she didn't expect. Every moment with him feels like a blessing, but the weight of all the unanswered questions threatens to overshadow their reunion. It's not just "where have you been?" that lingers in her mind, but the deeper question, "why didn't you come back sooner? Why didn't you fight harder to come home to us?" She wants to believe that the love they shared can heal the rift that has formed in his absence, but a part of her remains guarded, afraid of being hurt again. One evening, as they sit together in the barn, Amy finally gathers the courage to ask the question that has been haunting her.